When we think about electric cars, it's almost impossible not to immediately associate Tesla with innovation, cutting-edge technology, and of course, the visionary figure of Elon Musk. The Model 3, perhaps Tesla's most iconic model, has become synonymous with accessible electric mobility, impressive performance, and the promise of a sustainable future. But behind this aura of modernity lies a story little known to the American public. The surprising difference in quality between Model 3s manufactured in the United States and those produced in China. This narrative, which begins with Tesla's global expansion, reveals fascinating nuances about industrial processes, quality standards, technological choices, and above all, how the perception of value can be shaped by details often invisible to the average consumer. The Model 3's journey began in Fremont, California, where Tesla established its first major factory. There, amid the challenges of mass production and a steep learning curve, the first units of the car that promised to democratize access to electric mobility were born. Enthusiasm was palpable, but soon there were reports from owners dissatisfied with door alignment issues, paint finish flaws, and interior noises that clashed with the premium image Tesla sought to establish. Even so, demand kept rising, driven by a legion of fans willing to overlook minor flaws in the name of pioneering spirit. Over time, it became clear that to meet the global appetite for its vehicles, Tesla would need to expand its production capacity. That's how Gigafactory Shanghai was born, Tesla's first factory outside the United States. In 2020, the Chinese facility began producing the Model 3, initially to supply the local market, but it quickly became an export hub for Europe, Australia, and other strategic markets. What few predicted was that this change of scenery would bring with it a silent revolution in the final product's quality. At first glance, a Model 3 made in Fremont and one from the Shanghai assembly line are practically identical. The minimalist design, the central dashboard dominated by a touchscreen, the instant electric performance, everything seems the same. However, as consumers and experts began comparing vehicles from both origins, consistent reports emerged that the Chinese models presented a higher quality standard. What would explain this difference? Was it just a matter of perception, or were there concrete grounds for this assessment? The first sign came from the so-called panel gaps, the spaces between body parts. In the United States, owners reported visible misalignments, doors that didn't close perfectly, and hoods that seemed to require extra force to fit. Meanwhile, Chinese Model 3s, according to reports from protective film installers and automotive detailers, displayed almost surgical alignment, with uniform gaps and precise fitting of parts. One of these professionals, used to working with vehicles from various brands, said he could only identify a Chinese Model 3 because everything is perfectly aligned. The paint issue also became a game changer. While American models were often criticized for areas with uneven coverage, stains, or even premature peeling, the Chinese units started to be praised for a finish worthy of German luxury brands. In European dealerships, salespeople explicitly recommended Model 3s from Shanghai, highlighting not only the slightly lower price, but especially the superior exterior finish. Professional detailers reported that for the first time, they found no flaws or thin paint spots on a Tesla, something they considered rare until then. Inside the vehicles, the difference also appeared. Owners of Chinese Model 3s reported, after years of use, the absence of interior noises, squeaks, or premature wear of materials. One such report from an Australian user described the experience with the car as almost too good to be true, highlighting the durability of the seats, the absence of annoying sounds, and the sense of robustness. In contrast, some Americans still reported minor imperfections, such as loose trim or noises on rough roads. But the difference between Model 3s goes beyond what the eyes can see. Under the hood, or rather under the floor, lies one of the biggest technical distinctions: the type of battery used. While American models traditionally use NCA, nickel, cobalt, aluminum, lithium-ion batteries, The Chinese adopted LFP, lithium iron phosphate batteries supplied by the giant CATL. This choice directly impacts not only production cost, but also durability, safety, and even charging behavior. LFP batteries, despite offering slightly lower energy density, which can mean a bit less range, are known for their longevity and lower risk of degradation over time. For many consumers, especially those concerned about long-term maintenance costs, this can be a decisive advantage. Another factor contributing to the quality difference is the level of localization of components. Gigafactory Shanghai has achieved a rate of over 90% locally produced parts, which facilitates quality control and production logistics. In the United States, although Tesla also favors local suppliers, the supply chain is more diverse and sometimes subject to variations in standards. This seemingly technical detail may explain some of the consistency seen in Chinese vehicles. The perception of superior quality in Chinese Model 3s isn't limited to anecdotes from owners or enthusiasts. Formal research reinforces this impression. A survey conducted by the Chinese site Chejiwang identified the Shanghai-made Model 3 as the highest quality sedan in the country in the second quarter of 2020, with only 0.7 complaints per 10,000 vehicles, a remarkable rate for a product still new to the local market. This recognition, coming from a country known for its increasingly demanding automotive standards, helped cement the Chinese factory's reputation as a benchmark in efficiency and quality control. However, this success story doesn't happen in a vacuum. The Chinese market, despite its enormous strategic importance to Tesla, has become an increasingly competitive battlefield. Local brands like BYD have been gaining market share by offering electric vehicles with aggressive prices and quality increasingly close to international standards. In 2024, Tesla's market share in China fell from 7.8% to 6%, while BYD posted significant growth. In March 2025, Tesla's sales in China dropped 11.5% year-over-year, while BYD grew 23% in the same period. This fierce competition may partly explain Tesla's ongoing effort to maintain and even raise quality standards at its Shanghai factory. The geopolitical context also adds a layer of complexity to this narrative. In 2025, Tesla was forced to temporarily suspend orders for models imported from the United States to China after the Chinese government raised tariffs on American vehicles in response to trade tensions. Although the locally produced Model 3 and Model Y were not directly affected, the episode illustrates how external factors can influence strategic decisions and, consequently, the consumer experience. For the American public, used to associating Made in USA with a seal of quality and national pride, the realization that Chinese Model 3s surpass American ones in several aspects may sound, at the very least, unsettling. After all, it's an emblematic product of the national industry, a symbol of innovation and technological leadership. However, the reality points to a truth increasingly common in the era of globalization. Industrial excellence is not the exclusive prerogative of any single country or region, but the result of processes, organizational culture, and above all, the ability to learn from past mistakes. The Shanghai factory, more modern and benefiting from lessons learned from Fremont's initial challenges, managed to implement more rigorous quality control processes, as well as count on a highly trained workforce motivated to prove its value on a global stage. The result is a product that, even carrying the same name, offers a more refined sensory and functional experience. For the American consumer, especially those considering purchasing a Model 3, the vehicle's origin may become a relevant decision factor, whether buying a new model or searching for a used unit. Identifying the place of manufacture, either by the VIN or information from the seller, can make the difference between a hassle-free ownership experience and recurring minor annoyances. In the end, the story of the American versus Chinese Model 3 is, above all, a portrait of the profound transformations sweeping the global automotive industry. It challenges prejudices, broadens horizons, and invites consumers to look beyond appearances, seeking to understand the factors that truly determine a product's quality. In a world where industrial borders are increasingly fluid, perhaps the greatest lesson is to recognize that excellence can arise where we least expect it, and that in the case of the Model 3, made in China has ceased to be a stigma and has, ironically, become a mark of quality, admired even by the most demanding American enthusiasts.